Hello, beautiful spirits. Hello, hello. I have been taking a few days off. I was not able to teach. I was able to get together for just a bit with everyone um, for collective private readings for members. I have COVID. I have allergies, but then I caught COVID. I'm trying to, and what's what's interesting about COVID before we get started. Um, and I'm just getting some pictures that I want to just share. There's a lot of stuff. You hear the Tinkerbell? That is our beloved Colleen, and she is answering all your questions about the fairies as we speak. So when you hear the Tinkerbell, what did she do to have this happen? And then I did a meditation and I wanted to share it with you today about Colleen's fairies and how this happened to her and why I believe it happened to her. Because I have a friend, Colleen, and the first time that I was talking to her, FaceTiming with her, something flew by her head that looked, I thought I had lost my mind. It looked like a Disney character had flown past her head. It looked like a Tinkerbell. And then we got to talking, and then she mentioned that she had fairies in the house. And then we showed some interesting film footage that she had recorded. So what I thought I would do that was fun. Yes, I did. I did test positive for COVID. I was trying to figure out how I got it because I thought it was. Aren't we getting rid of COVID? But people aren't. I was really surprised too. A couple of interesting things about getting COVID. My first symptoms were grief. In case you catch COVID, was feeling run down, tired, achy. I had a little bit of a scanty cough. I thought it was my allergies. I was taking Benadryl. I thought it was my cat. It is partly that. But I started feeling run down. And then my first symptom was just this overwhelming grief. Grief about everything that was going on in the world, the wars, and just the frustration and anger I feel anytime, and it's usually, I'm sorry to say, men put children's lives at risk over whatever they're fighting about. And so I just spent, I think, what was it? Was it Wednesday night? I took a night off and I just cried like a baby. And that was the first, and I just felt terrible. And that was the first symptoms of COVID. Then I woke up with that scratchy throat and everything. And I thought, well, I've got just really bad allergies. The cat's shedding. And then that night it escalated. Thursday I was able to record, but that night I wound up with a throbbing headache in addition to crying and being emotionally upset. And then it hit my lungs, and then I was like, okay, I got to test because this is feeling like COVID, and it was COVID. The only thing I can think of is that the only time I think I could have caught it, I think I caught it. I must have caught it when I went to the UPS. Went to the UPS store to drop something off for a patient, and that must have been how I got it. All right, so back to the story of the fairies. Let's take a look at some of these pictures. Maybe you can recreate it, and then I'll tell you what the fairies said regarding, let's see if I can find a way to show this to you. Okay, hold on a second. First off, let me get her pictures because she just sent them. This picture, excuse me about the cough. Is this one saved? Let me see. But I'm trying to, that doesn't really show it very well. Hold on a second. Let me figure this out. But, okay, I'll put it right there. There we go. Excuse me. what I want to do, hope they're not going into folders, is show you guys what her home looks like so that we can recreate it. Oh, is it opening? Okay, so in answer to your questions about the fairies, this is where the it was not insects, and it wasn't going to the light, it was going to the flower pots. So the images we saw were of a fairy, and this was the areas that they were hanging out in. And so when I tried to put myself in the shoes of a fairy, and I remote viewed the fairies, they explained to me that they are like people, that this life form is like a person, and that it's they live in nature, and that just like you, they want to live in a nice home. And when bulldozers come in and destroy their home, they have to up and move. And so what the fairies explained to me is that they just feel safe. They feel safe there. They don't feel hunted. Everything is natural. She's not using any toxic chemicals that would destroy the ecosystem or harm their friends, because they're part of an energetic biosphere. They can't be, if we're killing insects and bugs and then the birds eat that and then they get sick, that's going to disrupt the entire biosphere, right? So she doesn't use any of that. And the other thing you can see that's attracting them is just the beauty. She's got little angels and fairies and butterflies that are up in the air. And so the reason the fairies are there is because they like it. This is their home too. And so that is their message, that they basically wanted people to know, is that we're in a sense, we are a lot like humans, in the sense that we go, we are nature bound. And if somebody makes if somebody creates this is the area that they tend to also live in, where we saw the film footage of them. They were hanging out in these plants, and it's just a very lovely home, and they like their home, and that was all they wanted to say. Like, wouldn't you want to live there if you were a fairy? Put yourself in our shoes. If your natural environment is flowers and a safe space with someone that's going to talk to you and comfort you and build a place. The other thing that dawned on me was that Colleen was making it for them, and that was powerful too. Here you go, my little fairies. Here's another pretty plant for you. And she, on some level, when it was constructed, she was communicating with them, whether consciously or otherwise, is the other thing. So you can get into the conversation of when we are communicating with the elementals. When we're communicating with the elementals, when we're communicating with these energy forms, we may not always be aware of it. And they're, in a sense, participating in the process of creating those gardens, because those gardens become their homes, and then they in turn bless us. But this is another pot where the fairies live. So, in answer to all those questions about, why did the fairy come? What was so special? How do I get in? How do I attract fairies? What I would say is, what is the missing, how do we attract them? Is that the first trick is to create a space where they're going to feel that they are welcome. And so people had trouble seeing the fairy. And so this is, I'll show it to you again, and we'll go through it a little bit. But this is Colleen's film footage, and the fairy appears. It looks to me like the fairy is actually I think closer to about 6 inches, but you can see the flower pots are over there. And at 10 seconds, you'll see the fairy come in at the 10-second mark, and it comes up over on the at the southwest side of the screen at about the 10-second mark. This is not the same as a bug. If it was a bug, it would have gone towards this large light over here, which is the main light, but we don't see a lot of bugs over here. Instead, it goes towards this area between the lights where there is no light, and the size also. So it's not acting like a bug. And well, let's just take a look. Remember to focus on the southwest side of the and you can see the fairy enter. What's also cool is that it kind of materializes. Here it comes. You can see the materialization. And this thing that I find most fascinating, if you back it up, is you can actually see the wing come out right about here. You can see the full fairy. And what you see when you see the full fairy is that it actually has a kind of wing structure, which I thought was kind of interesting. And that's kind of what it looked like when it flew past her, because when I talked to her, see, there it goes, it manifests. And then there it goes there. You can see the whole entire thing right about there at about the 9-second mark. 9 to 10 second, it opens its wing. You see that right there? The wing opening up right here in the back. Now this to me looks like it, well, you know, it could be the size. This fairy when it flew past her head, it looked pretty big. I would say 6 inches. I would say about 6 inches. Maybe you think it's smaller. And then it's going to come down. You see it? Then it comes down. See, this is not responding like a bug. If it were a bug, it wouldn't be going down against the light. It would be going towards the light. Now it moves, circles around. Now what you'll see is you'll see activity happening in the plants in the background, sparkling. Here it comes around again. And again, it's not acting like a bug. It's not going towards the light. It lives there. Comes again. You see it? Out in the back. Flying around. You know, you would think, okay, it's a bug. If it's a bug, the tiny things you'll see around here are a bug, but this is flying independently. Anyway, so that's a real fairy. The other thing that happened to me, which was independent proof that this is something that's different, was because I had seen it prior. And then at first, I thought it was a trick of my eyes. Like, oh, that was weird. I just thought I saw like a Tinkerbell fly by her head. That was kind of a weird vision. And then I thought, well, maybe because I'm a remote viewer, it was a vision. And I was supposed to give her some kind of message about this vision or something. And then I started talking to her about it, and then it came out that she had fairies living with her. So the message here for all of you is that if you want to attract fairies, that's the setup. And I do think on some level, she intentionally created it that way in order to draw them to her, because they clearly felt safe enough to move in. You know what I mean? All right, so I have a couple messages from Spirit for the world, basically, at this time. And I want to go ahead and do the empath prayer so that I can be in a little bit of a trance state when I deliver it. I did do some remote viewing tonight. Like I said, I apologize. I haven't been able to do a lot of filming because I came down with COVID, but I will be coming tomorrow at the 11 o'clock. Yeah, it happens. My lungs are my weakest organ, like I said, and when if I catch something, it is what it is. All right. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Let's go in. Yeah, I've never seen a fairy that large before. That was the largest. I've seen like the small butterfly one that flies in the back that you guys have seen a couple of times with the translucent wings. And that was really cool because I'd never seen one before. That was the first time I'd ever had that happen to me. And then this time I thought I was hallucinating, and then Colleen showed it to me. I was like, oh my God, I'm not insane. But when like you see it in real life, it's more vivid. The colors are a little bit more vivid. Okay, so the first message for everyone at this time is that there is a message from Spirit that all hell is about to break loose, okay? All hell is about to break loose, and it's very, very scary, okay? April is going to be very, very scary. Trump would like to give everything to Russia. Trump would like to give everything to Russia because Trump is Russia. Trump is Russian. In his heart, he is Russian. Now, why is he this way? I don't know. But I can tell you, when I put myself in the energy of Trump, I swear I feel like this guy is a KGB operative or an FSB operative. It's like he is first and foremost, you remember your vows to Mother Russia. I mean, it has this feel to it that this guy, I know my duty to Mother Russia. I mean, I swear that there is this thing there. So getting back to Greenland, what does Greenland have? When we go into the energy of Greenland, not only does it have rich resources, metals, but it also has oil, and they want to do oil drilling, just like you get in any permafrost area, just like why you have so much oil in Siberia. And we know that the war started because of trade routes. We've gone on nauseum about it, and the creation of new trade routes in order to bypass embargoes created by the West. And so what's the solution? You take over America. And if you take over America and then you extend America, you take America, Canada, and Greenland, and then you add that to the cutting in of the Bering Strait, then basically Russia has taken everything. Because he's basically taken the United States. And if you go back to my video from a few years ago, what Putin wants, that is precisely what Putin wants. And by the time you realize this is true, it will already be too late. That is the message from Putin. He will have already taken everything, right? So let's go back to the original video. This video was shot 6 years ago. Okay. Man, did I look. All right. And I still have my strange accent. I work really hard at getting an American accent. Into the history of Russia and trade routes. And we talk about the fact that Putin wants the lights of Moscow to shine on the entire world, right? You see this and know this to be true, it will be too late. He will have taken Brazil, Hungary, Poland, France, Germany, Great Britain, the United States, and by the time we realize what he has done, it will be too late.
So this is the scary truth of the remote viewing. And he has made his way deep, deep, deep into our intelligence agencies, hacking our power grids and other areas that are under security. The Mueller investigation is the tip of the iceberg. And this is the scary situation we find ourselves in right now. So we have to pray that the good people of our intelligence agencies can do what they have to do to get out of this. But it's a very scary time right now that we are living in world history, and this is the remote. So thank you for watching this remote. And
so basically, by the time you realize, it will be too late, because he got in by compromising people. He got in by getting people to be compromised. And so if you look at it from Putin and his FSB stooge, Trump, they are trying to basically take North America, including Greenland. And then that will merge with the new trade route that he has coming in from the Bering Strait. So when NATO says that they too agree that they should have NATO troops in Greenland, that is what they mean, to protect from Russia taking the Bering Strait. And they are also saying, we know very well why you want to take Greenland, because you have now joined forces with Putin. And basically it means that Putin will be taking North America. So at this time, now that the bomb has been dropped and you understand all of that, let's go further into this. Take care of your health. Like I got sick, right? We got flus, we got bugs, we got, like I've got a weird rash on top of this. I love you guys, but we're all just human. We have human bodies. We have to take care of ourselves. You have to divorce yourself to some extent from all of this. And even if you have a demanding life, like Eleanor Roosevelt or Teresa of Avila, it's very important to, like, she took time to be in the presence and allow herself to receive the healing of the universe and to go inward, because the craziness of the world can drive us mad. Take care of your health. Justice is the karma. Justice is coming. But it's important for us always to go into our own inner peace zone. All of us that are normal people, that are functional people, we have an internal peace zone, right? An internal part of us that we can go into, the Wahiguru, right? The internal guru, and seek peace in that place. And that must be our guiding light, more than the crazy chaos building of people that want division. An example would be Netanyahu. He's someone who thrives with violence and division. Elon Musk is another person that thrives with violence and division. Chaos is how they keep people in control, right? They stay in control. So to keep from all of that, we have to remain in our internal peace. It's very important that we hold on to that and not get disturbed by the crazy. The situation right now is heartbreaking. Hamas has been capturing and killing the peace protesters. One of them was beaten to death. The body was retrieved. Now the family is calling on war for Hamas. And now Hamas and the peace activists are going at it, and they're going to massacre. None of this had to happen if we could have gotten everybody to peace zones, right? So these people that don't have to. So it's a time of heartbreak and frustration, because unfortunately psychopaths are in charge, whether it's Trump or Netanyahu or Putin or Elon Musk. For whatever reason, a lot of psychopaths are in positions of power right now, and it's a very terrifying time for a lot of us. The crossing card is all will be well. only if you take care of yourself, only if we all take care of ourselves. Oh, I got my my board back there. What is above us? Oh, men of peace are coming. Hanging it up. Interesting. Mastery is coming. They're working on another ceasefire for Eid, so that, and they're talking about releasing another 5 hostages, Hamas. But this is it's a nightmare for the Israelis because Hamas has been torturing, raping, and killing the hostages, and then sending the film footage to the families in Israel. So the Israeli mothers and fathers are having to see this film footage of their kids being tortured, screaming for help. So they're psychologically manipulating the Israelis to be out of their heads trying to get to the hostages. And it's a psychological manipulation that is evil beyond measure. And so in the middle of this war, all these people are getting killed. It's a pretty horrific thing. I see scholars coming in. There's a lot of scholars and peace people coming in to try and keep the crazy from happening in April and the sun coming out. The hopes and fears, people in positions of leadership. And then I feel like they're collapsing, like Erdogan is collapsing, like what's going on in Hungary, what's going on in Turkey, what's going on in all over the world is that these dictatorships are collapsing and that the people are rising up. Same in Israel, people are calling for unity. People want Netanyahu gone. Netanyahu loves his division. He was taking $1 billion from Qatar, the money going to Hamas. So he was feeding the very terrorists that came and killed the Israelis. Right? So why is this person that has created this and has funded this division in charge of the country, creating the very animosity that has become a security threat for the whole country, right? So we have this fear of our own leadership here, globally. So many countries are facing this. Seven of Swords is to flee like a thief, which could indicate that they take the money and run and hop into a plane and try and get the hell out of Dodge. It's helter-skelter. It's the thief who runs helter-skelter from the scene. It could indicate that some of the people that are facing, like Erdogan, Assad fell, right? Assad is another dictator that fell, and he fled helter-skelter to Russia. And so that could also be what we're seeing in these cards, is that justice will reign. They flee. It also reminds me of the fall of that cult out of Oregon. What was his name? I can't remember. Bhagwan Rajneesh, right? So Bhagwan Rajneesh, right? So they were running and with all this money to get to the airport, what happened? Did he escape? I can't remember what happened. I know that his assistant Sheila, she fled to Germany and said it was all fake. It was for the money. Um, But anyway, the final outcome, Six of Pentacles, would indicate that justice will come. There's a thief there. I think that we have to start seeing real leadership in the future because of this situation. But I can predict that things are going to be chaotic in April. Take care of yourselves. Have your energy be inward, and care for yourself at this time, and to not be carried away by crazy people want you emotionally distraught. We all know people like this. They thrive on chaos, they thrive on violence, and they thrive on terror. They thrive on division. And the best thing that we can do is to simply not receive the call and instead go inward and care for the self, and to continue to work towards peace. Continue to create oasis zones in your life, inviting people of different faiths to come together and experience unity, and to discourage extremism in all forms, in all religions. Extremism and, these extreme literal translations of ancient texts, rather than seeing them within their historical and anthropological context, and it's imbalanced, and it's not the peace and unity the world needs right now. The world in unity needs moderation and wisdom, and to cool the fires. So the more that we can respond to all of this by creating oasis zones, safety zones for ourselves and for others, and by modeling that, rather than screaming in the streets with keffiyehs, like you're a Hamas. Do you know what Hamas does to people? Please. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. Go home. Particularly now that we're coming to the end of Ramadan and so many people are fasting and praying to be good people, that we can just all come to the center and move towards peace. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching this video. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, or you need to see me as a physician, you can find the information below. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.